Hello, Brent Lindeque, who is the Good Things Guy and joining us to talk about resilience and COVID. Before I talk to Brent, Brent is the owner, founder, writer, creator of Good Things Guy, which is, if you haven't seen the website, you haven't lived. It's probably every WhatsApp group I belong to, I get something daily that he's written forwarded, which is great. I mean, the minister farting on television, I've had all of it. And Brent is also, I've got a list of it here. He is a lead essay hero. He is one of the most influential people in South Africa. He was the GQ Influence of the Year, but he's just a really all-round nice guy and likes sharing good things. So Brent, welcome. Thank you for chatting to me.
Thank you for having me. I'm actually, because this is the world of Zoom and technology, I'm turning off my notifications quickly. Otherwise we get the beeps coming through. So I'll turn that off.
Yes, we want full attention on us.
This is all for your viewers and for you, obviously.
Exactly.
Thank you for that amazing intro. I hate the awards. They drive me absolutely. Yeah, like in the beginning, 5 or 6 years ago, when people were handing out awards, I thought it was really cool and it was super lekker to get all those achievements. But now they sort of precede me, and it's you get called up on stage, or you get called up to do this, and then people start rattling off all these things that have been awarded to you, and it's actually quite it almost feels like arrogant. So remove all of those things. It's great that they've been given to me, and it's great acknowledgement for the websites. But I am just a guy from South Africa who loves to share good news with South Africa and the world. That is really the way that I feel about what I do.
But do you know what they say about people who don't like awards are the people who've received them? Everyone else, we're all like, wow, we all want the awards. So thanks. It's great. Yeah, I love the awards. I want them. I'm jealous. Cool. So we're going to talk to you about your lockdown. So I follow you on, I think you're on every single social media platform ever invented, and you share prolifically. I was talking to you before we started recording about your jog this morning, so I know that you went for a run. So these are the kind of things, but I've seen you during lockdown, and I've seen it's a really stressful time. People have lost contracts, people have lost incomes. I know so many people who even they're still getting a salary, but it's slashed by 30%. People are losing loved ones. People are losing family times. And you are one of the people like me, like everyone else, we're in this together and we're stuck in lockdown. So I just want to chat to you about your experience of lockdown, and also you're the Good Things Guy. So I want to hear some good things about how we're going to come out of this. But you decided to go into lockdown before all of us did. So you're on what, day 934?
Feels like day 934. If I'm correct, this is the either 11th or 12th week that I've been self-isolating. I think it's the rest of the country's 8th week.
60 days, something like that.
1 million, 100 billion, who knows? Yeah. One of my best friends is Fawn Rogers, and she is an unbelievable just inspiration to our group of friends, and we really, really love her dearly. She had a lung transplant, a double lung transplant 7 years ago. So if she has to catch COVID, it would just be absolutely tragic. And as a group of friends, we all made the decision in solidarity. I mean, this will be the first time that she hears this, but in solidarity, we all decided to go into self-isolation. Yes, I get a little bit emotional. I went into self-isolation with her, because of her, and for her. If we can protect ourselves, then we can protect her, is the way that we sort of feel about it. And Fawny's been through a lot in her life. She was born with cystic fibrosis. So for her, a lot of her formative years was spent in self-isolation. Like, that's for her, this lockdown is a breeze. It's just a couple of more weeks that she's locking herself away from the world. But for us, the reality of it is it's all new to us. And we just decided as a group of friends that we wanted to try be a little bit more responsible, and just, look after her in the process.
That's amazing. It's interesting you say that, because I think so many people appreciate the lockdown initially, and then the subtle kind of shift has been into anger about the lockdown. But I think it's because also people haven't really understood completely the why. And I think what you've said is so true as to the whys is that we're not just doing it for ourselves, but there are people out there who are compromised. And I think when it's someone in our vicinity and direct area, it gives us a totally different perspective of the lockdown.
Yeah. You know, I still battle with it. I still battle with what you can almost say the lack of freedom, the lack of normality, the removal of your day-to-day, just being able to, I don't know, go and jog at 4:00 in the afternoon. Or we'll get into it, but I had a complete breakdown a couple of weeks ago. Must have been 2 weeks ago. Our fridge broke. It was before we got to level 4. So our fridge just decided it wasn't going to work any longer. And we've got like a fridge freezer. So it was both our fridge and our freezer. And all our food was going to go off. And LG, which is what the fridge, the product, the brand that it is, LG couldn't help us because they were closed. And we couldn't purchase a new fridge because it wasn't an essential item. And the handyman or the person that would come and fix it couldn't come out because it also wasn't allowed. So we were kind of stuck in this place where our food was going to go off. And it was just this, that was a lot of pressure with regards to that little piece of our day-to-day. Plus, we're concerned about COVID-19. So are we going to get it? Have we had it already? Are our friends going to get it? Are our parents going to get it? You've got all this uncertainty around COVID-19. And then you've got the lack of normality in your day-to-day life. So all of these things are compounded. It's quite complex, busy going on in our heads. And I was working the day away. It was a Monday. And at some point, I'd forgotten to go to the shop to go get dog food. And we'd run out. So 6:00 came. 6:00 is when the dogs eat and they start getting antsy. They were sort of around my feet by my desk. And I was like, oh, look at the time. Better go feed them. Went downstairs. There was no food for them. I was so frustrated. I mean, I had a little temper tantrum with Andrew. Why didn't you feed the dogs? Andrew's my fiance. I was busy working. So I hopped into my car, drove to the SPAR with the idea to get dog food. And as I got to the SPAR closed at 5:30 because this is lockdown. They aren't going to be open later than that. And as I parked and I saw that the doors were closed and all the frontline essential workers were leaving the SPAR, I just sat in my car and I cried. I mean, I've never cried outside a SPAR before, but so many compounding things were bothering me and frustrating me and in my head that moment, it was just all too much, that moment. And I got home and I was still upset and I was crying when I got home because I was like, I can't anymore. I don't know how much longer I can do this. I don't know how we're going to feed the dogs. And Andrew went, the meat in the freezer's going off. Let's just cook some meat and we can give them meat tonight. And I was like, actually, it's not that bad. Like, I understand that we're going through ups and downs. So I don't even remember your initial question, but we go up and down. It's
That's fine. You said we were going to get into it later and then you got into it. So it's fine. So you don't have to worry about that. But it's good to know that you had a breakdown. I've had a few breakdowns where, I mean, Sunday I literally couldn't get myself out of bed. And for no reason. It's just, I think it is those moments that just suddenly it just all becomes a bit too much. I was coaching someone earlier and we were talking about Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And the whole problem is that our security is being taken away. So we're not secure about our future. So when security is gone in the hierarchy of needs, everything else, as soon as there's a crisis there, it feels like the world is crumbling. So I'm glad to hear that you crumbled as well, but you also have been quite resilient. I've seen quite a few things on where you look like you're actually having a bit of fun in lockdown. Have there been moments where you've actually said, I can do this and this is how I'm doing it?
Okay, so there's a couple of different things here. First of all, I'm 35 and I must get off TikTok. I don't understand why I joined it. It was the lockdown that leaned itself towards this. And yes, I'm 35 and I must get off TikTok. But it has kept me sane because during the day I work and I've got KPIs that I need to reach with regards to myself and getting good news out there. I'm quite OCD about what I do. So I keep to that. And I've worked from home for 5 years. So for me to come into my office is just a normal day, really. But the TikToks have given me something to create in my head during the day. I think about what I'm going to do that evening or what silly thing, you know, which has made it quite fun. And then the second part of that is I grew up quite poor. So growing up without much, from the day I started earning a salary, I stockpiled. And I stockpiled everything. If you come into our pantry, it looks like we're ready for World War III, and it's always looked that way, just because of the way I am. And that also means that our bar was fully stocked before lockdown hit. So we haven't felt the pressure or the anger that has come from a lot of people feeling like, oh, we need booze, or so Andrew and I, when we have dinner at night, we pop open a bottle of wine and we think about the TikToks, and I do something silly, and every night's been us just hanging out. I must also say that being in a great relationship at this time, talking about being stuck in a house for 11 or 12 weeks, it's so incredible. We haven't had one fight in 12 weeks. We just good friends. He's my best friend. And we get to hang out every day and talk crap and, you know, bounce off each other. And when I'm having a bad day, he can pick me up. And if he's having a bad day, I pick him up. But it's been so incredible to have someone like that in my space. And I'm very grateful for that.
Excellent. Yeah, I was sent one of your TikToks recently where you got rid of the bad things in your house. That seems to have got round a bit, and shall I give it away? Spoiler alert, it was the bathroom scale. Because
it was the bathroom scale. No one needs that negativity in their life.
Yes, that's what it said. And also the person jogging at 7 a.m. while you sip on your glass of wine. It does have to spend a lot of time practicing lip syncing for your TikTok videos. But do you know what? It's one of the things that you finding creativity and fun in lockdown has helped other people, because, like I said, I got sent it. I didn't even spot it, and it was sent to me as, look how hilarious this is. So thank you for that. And I think we've got to find the moments of humor in this kind of weird time in our lives.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be the first to say that I've had really big whoopsie days. And if anybody follows on me on Facebook, they might have seen those, because I was being very vocal about the way I was feeling. Whether that, I mean, like the government regulations with regards to t-shirts and open-toed shoes, and I was just like, this is all just a bit too much. And at some point I brought up the stimulus packages from around the world, where a friend in Australia is getting $1,500 every 2 weeks from the government just to survive. And, you know, it's very difficult then. And I'm very vocal about it. But I must say, in the last 2 weeks, last 3 weeks, I've somehow found peace. And I posted on my Facebook the other day that everybody needs to remove this constant expectation. We're all waiting for this thing to happen. So soon we're going to be going down to level 3. And before the government and the president had announced what that level 3 was, which might change again, we don't know, but we all had this expectation of what it might be. And when those expectations are not met, then we are filled with absolute despair and heartbreak. And I think that's the level that I was at, is that I was constantly putting these place markers in front of me, thinking, okay, cool. So when we get to 6 weeks, then I'll be able to run whenever I want to, or whatever those ideas were. And instead of just taking it for what it is and embracing it for what is happening right now, I cannot change the government's rules. I cannot change the regulations. I have no control over those things. Yes, there are opposing parties that are fighting for it, or I don't know, petitions that are being signed to try and change things, but I cannot physically change them. So why do I concern myself with this worry about changing them? And that I let that go about 3 weeks ago. And I cannot explain to you how at peace I am right now. I get 3 hours in the morning to go jog. I use those 3 hours. I get the rest of the day to work on the thing that I love, which is sharing good news. I get to do that. I get to Zoom with all my friends. Every Saturday we have a big Zoom. About 2 weeks ago, I Zoomed the entire day with my mom. I kept my laptop with me and she kept her computer with her. And we even watched a show together where we just kept our computers open and next to each other and just spent the day with her. And I think it's really weird because I wouldn't, if I go visit my mom, I'm there for like an hour or two. There's no way that I'd spend a full 8 hours with her just hanging out. So I'm taking those things and I'm cherishing them and remembering this time, because when we get over COVID-19, and at some point we will, I don't want to forget these feelings that I had and the love that I feel and the gratefulness for the loss. I mean, I've been posting on my Instagram as well. Today was the perfect example, and I'm putting a timestamp on this, which is not always the best thing to do with the video. But today is the 26th of March that we're 26th of May that we're chatting. And I went into my Facebook memories, and for the past 10 years, the 26th of May, I've been in England, in Paris, in Melbourne, in Cape Town. I did a Twitter blanket drive at some point that I was emceeing. I went to salsa with one of my friends, and he is an incredible artist, and he drew my face on the serviette while he was drunk. And all these amazing memories came up on my Facebook memories. And I posted about it this morning, and I said, I can't believe that I've been so lucky to travel to all these places and do all these things. And when I look back at 2020, there will be a gap, but I never want to forget that gap. I want to remember that, like, we went through this time and how we coped with that, and how hopefully we come out of the other side as better people.
Yeah. It's amazing. So, I mean, we're talking about resilience, and you're exactly right. I think one of the principles that people say about resilience is gratitude. And while we can't necessarily be grateful for the situation we find ourselves in, we can be grateful for what we've experienced, because we're now experiencing loss. It means that we have had gain. And the next thing as well that we experience in terms of resilience, and I've totally lost my train of thought there, but the next thing that we experience in terms of resilience is being able to accept that it is what it is. And it's exactly what you were saying, is that process of letting go. It's a cliche that it is what it is, and I hate the saying, but we're not going to get rid of people that we're petitioning in government to get rid of so we can have cigarettes. We're not, and while it's very nice to sign the petition, there comes a point where we've just got to say, this is it. How am I going to work with what's in my hands, as opposed to what I wish the world would be, because or else it's just going to lead to anxiety, and it's going to lead to disappointment and anger.
So you would know more about this, and obviously with coaching. But when I first, when the lockdown first started, I did a bit of reading up on sort of the nightmares we were having and all the things that we were feeling. And there was this word that kept on coming up that said anticipatory grief, where you're waiting for something that you haven't lost yet, but that you have lost. So whatever that was. But the word there that I'm concentrating on is grief. And there are different levels of grief. There is hopelessness, there's anger, there's all those things that you go through. And at some point, there's acceptance. And I feel like I've gotten to that point now. I'm at acceptance. This is what it is. And we really do just need to make the best of every single moment we have, even while being in lockdown. Yes, I sound so philosophical. It's just ridiculous.
No. Over my job here, but that's exactly right. And my hope, and this is why we're doing these videos, is that hopefully someone who might be in this grief stage of anger or bargaining or whatever those grief stages are, gets to a point of actually realizing that there has to come acceptance, that, you know, we're going to go into level 3. Things are still not, you know, everyone's like, yay, level 3. It's still going to suck. It's still going to be difficult. We're still going to be walking around wearing masks, and, you know, it's just got to be. And so there has to come a level of acceptance. I want to end off, because this is going to get quite long and people have only so much bandwidth. Everyone's time, we might as well carry on forever. But I want you to, as the good things guy, you need to earn your money now. Tell me what you want to say to the people watching. Just what advice do you have for them? What do you recommend? What is your dream for them?
Right. So during lockdown, we'll talk about lockdown and COVID-19. My first hope is that you fill your own cup. It's very difficult to be good at your job or help your kids with schoolwork or be lacquer online if you're not filling your own cup. And if that means, I don't know, staying in bed for a day, take a duvet day, playing PlayStation. I'm a kid at heart. I told you, I do TikTok at 35. Of course I play PlayStation. If it's baking, if it's spending the day on Zoom with a parent or a loved one, fill your own cup before you even try to help anybody else or to give of yourself to someone, because you won't be there and it won't be fulfilling if you do. So that would be my first advice. My second is remove the expectations. I think that's a big one. Remove the dates, remove the ideas, remove the thoughts. When the president's about to speak, don't fuss over what he might say that coming night. Don't worry about it. He will say what he says, and then you will listen and you will move on from there. And I think perhaps I've got two more. The third is in times of tragedy, always look for the helpers. And that's what I've realized with Good Things Guy. There are really, really, really good human beings doing good things all the time. And they are the heroes that we need to be celebrating. So I'm not pushing what I do or my platform, but if you log off from the crazy news and from social media and you find some sort of space, I mean, there's Good Things Guy, there's Beautiful News. I think there's quite a few others where you can find just fulfilling and good news that will make you feel better about the world and make you realize that there are good people doing good things. Then do that, because that's also good for your soul. And the final one is one that I've recently learned, is if you're angry or frustrated or need to feel your feelings, write them down. Write an email about how angry you are. Not a social media post. Don't put it up on your Facebook or your Twitter. Write an email and write all those feelings and thoughts down. And when you are done, you can either send it to a friend and say, just read this, please, so I can get it off my chest, or you can delete it. But it's the writing of and the getting it off your chest, which is cathartic, I believe.
Absolutely. It's the power of writing, but there's in psychotherapy, there's the talking cure, and it's the need to express. It's the only way we gain psychological mastery is if we actually express how we're feeling. So you're exactly right. And I do hope people take you at your word for this and do what you're suggesting.
I speak Good Things Guy speak. So like I'm saying, hey, do this because I think it's a good idea. And then you come in and you're like, actually, psychologically, that does make sense, which, that makes me feel a little bit better. I'm not offering people bad advice.
And the reality is that the only thing I've actually got out of this is that the only reason you're enjoying lockdown is because you can have a bottle of wine every night while we all sit there.
Look, I will be honest, and I will say it now. I do not enjoy red wine. We ran out of white wine like 3 weeks ago. I love a glass of Sauvignon Blanc. That for me is just a good time. And I've been testing
your jobs, Brent. Let's focus on that.
I mean, I'm just being honest here. I'm just being honest.
No, absolutely. Brent, I just want to say thank you for taking the time to talk to me. It's been a lot of fun and very insightful. Thank you for the work you do out there. I think you give a lot of people hope. One of the things I've stopped doing is I actually have stopped reading the news. So because it just makes me feel upset about the world and makes me feel like I can't control things even more. So it is good advice to go and seek out good news and fill your world with good things. Behind you, it says there, believe there is good in the world. And I think we need to keep that in our minds as we deal with COVID. So thank you very much for spending the time with me, for giving time out of your day. I know that you're busy writing good news. And I look forward to reading more of it. So thank you for the time.
Thank you for having me. And I think more importantly, thank you for doing this. If there's just one person that can feel good and sort of get through another day, then your job is done. And that's incredible.
Absolutely. Cool. Thanks, Brent.